and talk some NBA with a guy who covers that league for Pro Basketball Talk. Pleasure to welcome in Kurt Helin. Kurt, how are you this afternoon, my man?
I'm doing well. How's it going, man?
Doing good. I guess the place to start is a guy everybody's talking about in the NBA these days and out there in the summer league, and that's Victor Wembanyama. Rough debut, but bounced back nicely in Game 2. What was your overall takeaway or impression of the Phenom in the 2 games you got to see?
Look, in the second game, he just looked more comfortable. He hadn't practiced with guys. He even said, like, after getting drafted and coming out of the French league and playing basketball, it was all photo shoots and media stuff, and it just wasn't playing basketball, and he just fell out of sync. And you could see that in the first game. He was just passive. He wasn't quite sure where he wanted to be. In the second game, when he got comfortable, he was making highlight plays. But I will tell you the thing that most impressed me, and you kind of see this in the interviews, but two things. When you see him in person, you can discuss how tall he is, but until you see him in person, it's really kind of hard to grasp how big a human being he is. But the other part of it is, he might be more mature than I am. Like, at 19, he just seems ready for this. He seems comfortable in the moment. He's not phased. He seems very level-headed. And I think if I were a Spurs fan or just an NBA fan, I think that's maybe the best news of all, is that those are the guys who can handle this moment, and he seems like he's ready for it.
Kurt, FP Santangelo Jr. here. I want to ask you another question about Wembanyama. So on TV, when we're watching him, it almost looks like he's moving in slow motion just because of how huge he is. In person, Is he just like lightning fast? Is he explosive as everyone says he is? Is it just different watching him compared to the highlights or what we can see?
I don't know if I go with the word explosive in the way we kind of think of it, just because if you compare it to, I don't know, Scoot Henderson from a couple nights before, who only played a half, really, unfortunately, and didn't play last night. But like, Scoot just explodes. It's more something we're used to. I think you're right, though. It's really hard to gauge him because everything just seems weird. He's so elongated. It just seems different. The other part of that is also the game just seems different around him. The geometry is different. The angles of everything are different. Both the obvious, like when somebody tries to drive the lane and score on him, it's a lot harder. But how to play around him, because he's kind of a unique player, is just they're clearly trying to figure it out. And the guys out there with him were like, well, the stuff we were doing in Sacramento doesn't work with him. Like, what do we have to be? What do we have to do? Like, it's just going to be an adjustment because everything's different with him.
I did want to get into some of the offseason goings on in the NBA, starting with the Sacramento Kings, who I've been saying all along that they sort of have doubled down or invested in what they have and some stability and sustainability within the organization. What have you thought of the path that the Kings have taken this offseason? A lot of folks thought they had a big swing in them when they opened up all that cap space on draft day, but instead, like I said, they went the route of investing in the guys they already had.
I don't think that's a bad path, because obviously this is a good team. I think the concern, and I don't think it's a bad path. I think it's better than taking a big swing. Like, I'm not sure that, look, they're not in the Damian Lillard mix, but I don't think getting in the Damian Lillard mix makes sense, right? Like, that's not kind of where you are, and I'm not sure that aside just playing with Fox isn't weird. Like, that's just not where you should be. But I'm curious to see if they make a move for someone else down the line, because the challenge is I think the West got a little better. Like, I just think, and not just the Spurs, I just think Denver's going to be Denver, but Phoenix, they did pretty well considering the Lakers had a nice offseason and didn't do something stupidly Laker-like or Knicks-like and just go, let's go get another star. And this weekend, so I just think in a tougher West, that's a good play, but a lot of things went right with health and stuff next year, and you kind of needed to go right again to repeat the success. And this is a good team. This is a playoff team, but taking a step forward is going to be challenging. Like I said, a lot of things have to go right, and some players have to develop.
Kurt, I'm going to switch it up a bit and ask you a different kind of question. Do you see a future where the NBA will have a team in Vegas just based on the reception of basketball, just in the area? I mean, you've seen it firsthand already in the summer league. Do you think a team can come to Las Vegas?
Oh yeah, no, I think that there will be expansion in the NBA. They keep putting it off because they want to do. Well, let's be honest. They want to get as much money possible for the franchise rights, right? They're not stupid. They want as much money coming into the owners as possible. And the best way to do that is the one thing they did, secure labor peace. So, a new CBA in place. So there's no lockout for, 10 years. Now they're working on the new TV deal that'll be done later this year or first part of next year. Once that's in place, then they'll start talking expansion, because then it's easier to, once you've got some of those streaming rights and everything locked up, then it's easier to price the, well, I mean, I think you guys can afford to buy one of the teams. It's a little out of my price range. But yes, when they do expand, I'm sorry, it's a long-winded story of when they expand, it's Seattle and Vegas, unless something happens to bump Vegas off, like another billionaire comes in and wants to put a team somewhere and just outbids everybody. It's going to be Seattle and Las Vegas, and nobody's getting in the way of Seattle.
Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk, our guest for a couple more minutes here on Sactown Sports. I'd be remiss if I let you go without asking if you know or think you know where Dame Lillard might be playing basketball next season.
I still think it's Miami. I know that they don't love the offer coming in for him, but guys, I mean, we talked about it with I don't think it's really a smart move. I'm not really sure that that's something that Sacramento wants to do outside of Miami, where it does make sense because they're contenders and he puts them back on top of the East. Who does it make sense for? Like, I'm just not sure where ultimately I think he lands there with some sort of 3-team deal, because, hey, Brooklyn will take him. They've got all these picks. You put them on Brooklyn, they're Portland East. They're good, but they're not great. Same with Utah. Same with all these places that are rumored. I don't. Oklahoma City. Somebody was trying to pitch me today. I'm like, you're going to take the ball out of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's hands? Mm-hmm. Really? I don't. I just think he ends up there because it's the only place that really makes sense for everybody, and eventually they'll find a deal that just is palatable to everyone.
That is Kurt Helin. You can find his work at probasketballtalk.com. You can follow him on Twitter at basketballtalk. And our guest for the last few minutes here on Sactown Sports. Really appreciate the time and the insight, Kurt. Let's do it again soon.
I'd love to, guys. Take care.
And he joins us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda